What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. On today's episode, we'll be going further into and talking a little bit more about Zach LaVine's pending free agency, some of the options that may be out there for him, and what do the Chicago Bulls do if Zach LaVine does leave? We'll get into all that and more right after our intro.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bulls Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bulls news and content.
All right, Bulls fans. So, one of the most prevailing stories to really still be around Bulls Nation is the pending free agency of Zach LaVine. After his comments at a season-end presser, it's opened the doors for a lot of speculation. You're going to see wild rumors. You're going to see some false confirmed reports. You're going to see a lot of things out there until Zach LaVine finally signs on the dotted line for a team. Now, of the teams that as of right now have the cap space to sign Zach LaVine, things could change at the draft. We know teams maneuver, and there have been other times where teams have opened up significant cap space unexpectedly. But as of right now, the Pacers, Magic, Pistons, Blazers, and Spurs are the teams with cap space that could potentially sign Zach LaVine. Now, Zach LaVine still, the Bulls can offer Zach LaVine the most million, roughly about $50 million, a little bit more over any other team. Now, that does mean signing trades are still a possibility, things like that to kind of close the gap on that some. And while those teams, those 5 teams do have cap space, I just want to go through them one by one, talk about them a little bit. First off, the Pacers. The Pacers aren't in very much a better place than the Chicago Bulls. I know they have Halliburton. As of right now, still have Miles Turner, but they are still very much a team that seems like they're going into a rebuild. Now, it really wouldn't make much sense to leave the Chicago Bulls for the Pacers if you're trying to compete right now. Same thing goes for the Magic for the most part. Now, the Pistons, I put them a little bit above those other teams. They do have who everybody's expecting to be the reigning rookie of the year. But on top of that, the Pistons maybe have a little bit something more than the Pacers and the Magic, but I don't really consider them big-time contenders to sign away Zach LaVine either, in my opinion. Again, this is all opinion-based. I know some of you guys in the comments, I want to hear your opinions of it, so please let those opinions fly. If you agree, disagree of some of the things you think of. I think the two biggest chances, or 2 biggest teams that have the chance of stealing Zach LaVine away are the Blazers, are the Spurs. Blazers, close to home for Zach LaVine. Also do have a superstar in Dame Lillard, who they could pair with Zach LaVine. And you know, that I know a lot of Bulls fans, I've seen it in the comments, make this thing about Zach LaVine potentially going home. And you know that you hear that with a lot of free agents, and I think sometimes it's a little bit overblown than what it is for other people. It's very much true for some NBA players. In this case, I don't know. I personally haven't. It's never been something I've heard Zach LaVine say. Again, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. Please post any articles about him, wanting to be as close to home as possible. I think he's been far enough away from that over the course of his NBA career, but, could be wrong. Again, and they also have a superstar in Dame Lillard who they could pair with Zach LaVine. Now, is that team, how good and how close is that team to close to contending with adding Zach LaVine? That's another question that remains to be seen. They have other pieces there as well. We'll see. And the Spurs. Now, the Spurs, who have DeJounte Murray, who is a close friend of Zach LaVine, who's already posted some things that have teased a little bit with Zach LaVine potentially going to the Spurs, things like that. And that raises some questions. The Spurs also a franchise with that culture, right? That you always expect. Now, Pop, I think he's expected to coach one more season. He's probably going to go away after that. So, that affects that coach a little bit there as well. But do the Spurs have enough? Is the coach there? Is their reputation of building playoff teams, is that enough to get Zach LaVine away from the Chicago Bulls? It could be. Again, I'm very much so of the mindset where I expect the Chicago Bulls to be able to re-sign Zach. They have the most leverage. They have the most money that they can offer him, again, unless it comes via sign and trade, and they have built this team around him. Now, some other people, I already know they're going to be in the comments, well, he deferred to DeMar DeRozan. Listen, you mean the player that was brought there to help convince Zach LaVine to stay, to help improve this team? When you look at this team, I know it has a lot of question marks. What's going on with Lonzo Ball's knee? What's the long-term health there? Patrick Williams, does he develop into the player that this front office sees Patrick Williams developing into? How do they improve this bench? What do they do with Vooch? I know a lot of Bulls fans as well, hoping that Vooch goes away. What does that mean? I think that this front office, being a front office that has proven in 2 years to be able to improve this team vastly, has the upper hand when it comes to that, unless I said like a dark horse comes available, which very much could happen for Zach LaVine. Now, again, I want to hear from you guys on this. It's one of those things where, until it happens, there's going to be a lot of speculation. The Lakers, I know that there's of course, there's going to be rumors of that. I don't think that's even close to happening. That's a personal thing. And this is going to be something that we just continue to watch until we get a signed contract from Zach LaVine, until we get a guarantee. It's going to be on the tips of tongues of all Bulls Bulls fans, and I'm sure some of the players as well. But one of the things that I want to leave this video off on, this episode off on, for the listeners as well on the podcast side, before we go, is what happens to the Chicago Bulls if Zach LaVine does walk away. Now, what I'm about to say, I know some fans are going to run with and try to use it to go with their own already thinking or dislike of Zach LaVine. And again, best bet, Zach LaVine. We need Zach LaVine to say that's the best bet for him. It's the best bet for the franchise. But if Zach LaVine does walk away, this is a little bit something that we talked about on Locked On Bulls as well today. I listen, while yes, it hurts the Chicago Bulls, let's be clear. Zach LaVine leaving, especially if it's for nothing, if the Bulls can't force a sign and trade, it hurts the Chicago Bulls. But with the front office that we have now, with Ayo Dosunmu, who can continue to rise, with Lonzo Ball, who we've seen, and hopefully if he can get that knee back healthy, we saw Lonzo over the course of, without Zach, without DeMar, averaging, what was it, like 18 and 8, with Patrick Williams and his continued rise, his continued development. While I like I said, it's going to hurt this team, I do think that that the Bulls would be closer to getting back to the point they are now than they were when they traded away Jimmy Butler. And that's partially because of the front office. It's partially because of the pieces that we already have here, things like that. If Zach LaVine were to walk, like I said, it's going to hurt. Will the Bulls still be a playoff team? Will they be a play-in team? Considering if some players develop and things like that over the course of the offseason, especially knowing like Patrick Williams is going to spend part of the summer with DeMar DeRozan, going through that hell cycle, things like that. Could we see it? Got pieces like Marco. The Bulls have the 18th overall pick, which they can do some things with and maneuver with. Again, and I think for the people who think, and I know they're going to say, well, what about a Donovan Mitchell sign trade? Again, makes no sense for the Jazz. But with that being said, like, if the Bulls can't force a sign and trade, if they can, especially if it's like the Spurs, they can get sell back some other pieces. Possibly, it could help some things along. Nothing really replaces Zach LaVine. And, with Bulls fans, I think sometimes Bulls fans don't really fully understand either that even if Zach LaVine does walk away, even if we don't sign Zach LaVine, we don't really have cap space even then to just go out and sign somebody. So it really does become about, at least in the next couple of years, Vooch's contract coming off, DeMar's contract eventually coming off. How creative can AK and Eversley get with freeing up some more cap space if they do want to go after somebody to try to bring in and help jumpstart and get this team back to where they were sooner than just developing through. But I think this team, if Zach LaVine were to leave, they are in a much better position than what they were, for example, when Jimmy Butler went away. And it would be a tough couple of years, but I do think that AK and Eversley could get the Bulls back within a year and a half, within 2 years. And, I wouldn't be surprised if AK and Eversley have a fully functioning plan in place in case Zach LaVine does leave. And we see them go to work, and it seems like it's something almost seamless because we have now a front office who does seem to have their mind on the future at all times, that does always seem to have a plan. It seems to be like Batman in a way where they always have a plan ready to go and to fall back on if something does happen. So, this may be my last video for a while talking about Zach LaVine's free agency until we get closer to it, until we actually get to free agency. Unless you guys leave, like I said, any comments, any voicemails, any text messages that you bring up something that maybe I didn't think about. If you bring a different angle up, I'd love to hear from you guys. I want to hear comments down below from you guys. It's going to be a long off season, But I do trust AK and Eversley. I know some Bulls fans also, their trust in AK and Eversley seem to falter a little bit with the Bulls not making a move at the trade deadline, even though it always made the most sense to wait till the offseason to have more assets that are movable. But going to be a long offseason. We're going to see what this front office does. I, for one, trust the front office. In AK and Eversley, we trust. They're going to make a mistake eventually, but I still trust what they're going to do. And no, trading Wendell Carter was not a mistake by this front office. Maybe we'll talk about that a little bit later in the future video. I want to hear from you guys, though. Let me know what you think about everything discussed in this video down below in the comment section. Also, make sure you follow the podcast at Bull Central Pod. If you have any feedback, questions, comments, concerns that you want to send in an email, you can do so at bullcentralpod@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a voicemail and or text, you can do so at 773-270-2799. Thank you so much for watching, listening to Chicago Bulls Central. Like I like to end everything on, go Bulls. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.